All right, welcome back to our second episode in season 3. We are very excited to have Cindy and Dan. I'm sure you have seen those guys, the viral video, the Spoon of Wire, and we are very excited to have them on as a guest, both as guests today. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dan and Cindy, where you're from, what you do, the concept of the Spoon of Wire as well too. Nice to meet you guys.
Well, nice to meet you too, Darren and Wayne, and
Yeah.
much appreciate you having us on, and very appreciative that Cindy is the first woman on your show. How about that?
Absolutely.
We are married. We live in Somas, California. I am originally from New Jersey, the Jersey Shore. I was through high school, went to the service, time in D.C. when Jimmy Carter was president, and was in the Presidential Guard. And then made my way out to California. I worked as an actor for 10 years, then got in the restaurant business, California Pizza Kitchen first, and then brought Jersey Mike's. Have you ever heard of Jersey Mike's?
Yeah.
Okay. I brought Jersey Mike's out west because it's from my hometown, and opened the first store west of the Mississippi in Camarillo, and then grew it to 150 stores in the greater LA area. And then much sold out of that about 6 years ago. And now Cindy and I have 2 fitness studios, Rumble Boxing and Succa Bar studio, both in Burbank, which is about 30 miles away from us. And wrote a book last year, published it, and then wrote another deal, and we're pushing that. And so we're kind of having a lot of fun with our relationship. And in the meantime, we try to get out and play golf about 4 or 5 times a week. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. How about you, baby?
All right, just on the ride with you.
And where are you from?
Grew up in Yosemite, just outside Yosemite, California, which was a beautiful way to grow up. State, I have 2 grown children, have 3 grandchildren, and my passion was for fitness for a long time. So I had an opportunity to open up some studios, and COVID hit, so we had to close a few studios. But Dan said we're creators and love just stuff together. You know, we wrote the book, and we wrote, and every day is just full of fun and purpose, and love it.
The reason
I gotta say it's an inspiration. Hearing the backstory, like I said, a lot of people only know you both from the Spool of Wire video. That's why we reached out to have you on the show. Hearing the backstory of your lives and just seeing the energy between you two already, I can feel that connection. It irradiates through the screen. I'm really excited to get this interview going. And I want to say first, how do you feel about the sale of Jersey Mike's? I know we're getting off topic real quick. I went to Jersey Mike's for the first time 2 days ago. I heard about it on the news and it was being sold to private equity. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And everybody, all the comments saying, it's going to go in the tank. So how, just if you can, I know you said you sold out of it. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm still quite close to the an owner. Peter Cancro is the founder of Jersey Mike's. Played football against Peter for 4 years in high school. We had 2 high schools in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. He purchased the original sub shop as a junior in high school. He went to his football coach. They went to the bank. They made a deal. So as a junior, he owned the one. It was called Mike's. And I had left after high school, course, went in the service, and then made my way out west because my family moved to Florida. So I didn't get back to Jersey. So I'd never heard of Jersey Mike's before. And saw an ad in the paper, and I called him. I'm like, Peter, oh my God, you got 90 stores back east? He's like, yeah. So he came out a couple of weeks later. It took me about 2 years to get my funds together, and that's when I opened the first store. But yes, he'd sell for $8.5 billion. But he's still CEO. And the quality, when you went to Jersey Mike's, you saw everything is fresh. Your sandwich is sliced fresh. There's no anywhere else, unless you go to New Jersey, where a lot of people make the lettuce, tomato, onion, oil, and vinegar on their way we do it in Jersey. But he took it national. So going to be much involved. I can't see him stepping away. You know, he's very passionate. I mean, Peter can, the CEOs that can jump on a slicer and slice a sandwich as Peter can, because he can really, he can ball. So I am very excited for him, and he's it all. And I don't think that the quality will drop it all, because it can't, because that's what Jersey Mike's is. When you're slicing fresh and using fresh product. So I'm very happy for him, though.
He's a beautiful, beautiful man. He's so much, charity work, just a lovely human being. So we wish him well.
From from the comments, everybody appreciates the quality, and people who've known him have commented as well, saying the same thing that you said. So, like I said, I was the first time Jersey Mike's 2 days ago, and I got the sub, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is great. So
You get a hot sub or a cold sub?
no, I got a hot one, the steak and cheese.
Yeah,
But it was really good, really good. So I'll have to keep going there. No doubt he's going to be the CEO and still, kind of because other firms, they take over and things they just tank. So
well, they've no money for this deal. It's so much money, and they only to try their money back. And in the past, some of these private equity firms have cut costs somehow. Let's cut some labor. Let's cut some food. Let's figure it out. I don't think he would allow that to happen. I think the expansion is what's going to fuel them making some money out of this deal. So
absolutely. And then you mentioned the presidential guards. I just in the military, in the Navy, 20 years, and so Fort McNair, I definitely been there quite a few times. Some of the houses, and the latest house I was in early last year. You could see all the way back from like 1902, all the Army been in the started off with captains, and then eventually now it's up to a 3-star level for this one house, but they have a placard with all the names that have been in the house. So it's a lot of history over there. And I used to deliver pizzas to the old guard who do the Unknown Soldier. So, a lot of connections with my Army team there. And I was just, and worked with a lot of Army people in my last posting as well. So thanks for your service.
No, you know what? Life in terms of sometimes you don't plan them, and I didn't necessarily plan to go. I was in the 101st. I wasn't moved. I was doing really well in the 101st, and then one day they came in and called my name out and said, "You got to go over and talk to the old guard, and you will say no." I said, "Okay," and I went to this movie theater, and first thing they put up was the funeral for F. Kennedy in 1963. And I remembered I was 6 years old, and I was sold right there. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, man? Because I remember those soldiers walking by with that case on and the horses and everything like that. I go to the old guard. They send me to Company A. Only Company A was at Fort McNair. And I go right to first casket team. In like 22 days, I'm now marching next to a casket. I'm the pole man, learn how to fold the flag, learn how to do the whole thing. And I ended up doing about 262 full honor funerals in the cemetery over the course of 2.5 years. And going to Fort McNair, it is the third oldest fort in the United States Army. There are so many stories going all the way back to George Washington, because Fort McNair sits on the edge of the Potomac. And in the way old days, the ships would come down, and that was their last stand to protect D.C. and the White House and everything was right there at Fort McNair. I could sit here and talk to you an hour about the history of Fort McNair and what I figured out there, but it was part of that. They call this crazies. I don't know why they sent me over there to Company A, but when we marched, see, Company E does the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Company A marched in the Continental uniform with the tri-cornered hats and the muskets and the bigs, the whole thing. So when you see the Army, and you probably have seen it before, the old guard, Company A, Fife and Drum Corps, Company A, Colors, Fife and Drum Corps, Company A, B, C, and Company D was the horses, took care of the horses and everything. Company C was the marching. So I was part of Company A with the guard, and our off times we were in the cemetery, doing the funerals. So it was pretty cool.
But let's get to what I want to hear about. Let's talk about the video, the behind it, what happened. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Breathe.
It's a beautiful thing, really. As when things happen organic and you feel like you have no control over them, and this is sort of that kind of deal. And my brother and doing some work, and I went to grab the wire out of the tool shop here, and was walking back, and I'm looking at this thing. When I got to him, I said, "Man, I can't believe how long I've had this, and I'm so I can't believe how little is left now." And over the course of the next couple of days, I kept thinking, about this, and then I just he said, "Come on outside for a second and just film this for me. I want to tell this little story about this spool wire." And she's like, "Okay." I kind of mentioned a little bit about it to you beforehand, not that day, but a couple of days before, when I was talking to Len.
A few days.
And when I sat down on the step and I really looked at this thing, I felt it. I was like, "Wow, this is." And that's the video. It's about the wire, and so much of my life has gone by, and how long I've had this wire, 40 plus years. And of course, as I was talking about it, it really hit me and I became very emotional. I don't think she expected that at all. But I still, to this day, I do. And I really get touched when there are other people that talk things in their lives that they've had for such a long time. I mean, we've gotten so many letters that have had something from their father and their father's no longer around and they keep it all the time and they use it all the time. And that is a beautiful, that's what it's all about.
That's one of the good things about this community and TikTok. Social media is one of the things where you can connect with people around the world who resonate with what you're putting out. I'll say that Cindy, your cup from your father, right? That you use every Friday.
I've been watching. Yes, my dad passed away years ago. The last conversation we had was on a Friday morning. He was drinking out of that cup, and then he passed away on Monday. So Dan makes me coffee in that coffee cup every Friday. It's really special. Yeah.
I think a lot of people things like that.
Yeah,
So we had before the Jets and how we were so disappointed in their season. And if you know, Jets fans are very passionate. And this one, it's ride and die. Like he Jets fan through and through. So we had the conversations about how we were so sad by their season and we were done with them and the whole thing. And
never done with them. Nobody said we're done with them.
I said I was done with them. But that's where the joke came, Pat, because I'm like, after this conversation we just had, and you're wearing the Jets hat, like you're supporting this team. So that's that came from. Just so
and that's very important context, which a lot of people don't get.
Yes, and I think that, I think there's a lot that resonated with my story, but when we were looking at behind the video, it was just a week before we were looking, and people usually spend about 5 each video when they're looking through TikTok, right? They're like, not or Insta or whatever. Our 53 seconds long, and had 95% of the people stayed for over 50 seconds. So
I was one of them.
You were one. Well, you wouldn't. Like I said, I always wonder what the numbers would be if Cindy's comment wasn't there, because people did resonate it because they had to get to there to see her comment. But if I don't know if you've ever read a book called The Tipping Point, but when things tip, something happens to take like Nike and make it explode, or Microsoft and make it explode, or AIDS and make it explode. That's what The Tipping Point's about. I think the video was really good up to that point. And then when Cindy said that, it was the tipping point. It took it from probably a very successful video to a ultra viral video, because we're somewhere north of 120 million views overall between all the platforms.
Wow.
So her comment tipped it, and we'll talk about the rest of it. That's what happened and made it nuts, I believe. I would love to see the numbers of we didn't have the comment and then had the comment, but when she made that comment, it sent people I mean, the number of comments on your social media, right? If you get 10 people that respond, that make a note or anything, we in the first million views had over 200,000 comments.
Yeah, and that's rare to have that.
And and like how many shares? Like it was like 7,000 shares, and your favorites, and the numbers were this out of the world. And so deal when people interact that much.
Well, and as you know, we've been posting for a year and 2 years, just random things, just throwing it out there. And it was what this was. This was just another to our media director, and she posted it, and 7:00 at night she posted it. We woke up the next morning and it was exploding, and we were like, this, out of all the things we've filmed and the cute things we've done, and this is exploding. But it took a twist, and it became about men's mental health, how they can't talk to their people, and insensitive I was about his moment. And it was just insane. Like we just started an Instagram we had 4 followers. We went to bed that night. We woke up the next morning, we had 4,000. Like, wow. It was mind-blowing. And all the comments in, and I mean, I'll be honest, I was a mess first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I got thick skin. They don't know me. They don't know us. And
we kind of had a moment was that sitting on the chair over there, comments, and it was in the beginning, and it was blowing me away because people were showing the video, and then they show their face down below and about it and everything. And I'm laughing. I'm like, I cannot believe that so many people are in this video and what they're doing. And as I'm doing that, she goes, I just can't handle it anymore. This is too much, because she had read some comments and I realized, oh, whoa, wait a second. This a little bit.
You were laughing at what they were saying about me. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
And so we realized, okay, let's slow down a little bit here. Let's not read into all of these comments, because there are people that are just, this is what they do, and they want to create a stir, or they want to get a reaction or whatever. And so we kind of like step back a little bit and watch the numbers, and then paying attention to emails, because we were getting some really heartfelt messages about that people didn't like the comments were coming, and they did see, and they looked back at our videos and they saw what kind of relationship we had. I mean, we just got one from Poland, and what's the other country? Australia yesterday, about people that are, and it's funny because the letters that they send, what is it called? DM us. They DM us. We're very, very positive, and these other people are just comments over and over again about, how horrible she is, she should die, just the whole deal. So
when you threw the ones that were negative and that hurt, and you find people that are, men that are truly in pain, talk to their person and can't be themselves in their relationship. And that was the more important part of it. Them not liking my hair or my clothes or my voice. I mean, it got crazy, but then you look next to, and it's truly mostly men that are struggling. And it was just so out of left field, So we started really diving into those people and trying to ignore the people that didn't me. So,
and that's what I like to get at, that people, when they see a video and it resonates with them, they'll to connect more. But those who just comment anything without doing any research, and that's what social media is. You're scrolling onto the next one, So you see the video, it's like, oh, okay, she's not connecting with her, and he's not. Then you keep on moving. I may have felt initially until I went back and I read more. But the video is it opened a dialogue for men to be able to say, hey, I feel the exact same way. Like when I speak about the things that are affecting me, I don't feel like I'm hurt. And that's what they connected with the most. And what you said in your follow-up post. And that's the reason why we wanted to create this show, 2 years ago. We wanted to have a space where men can come on and just talk about their things, or if they're uncomfortable talking about it, just seeing a video of another guy expressing those emotions in a safe place where we're not being, and the comments are very positive. And that's what's, videos like yours will help fuel that dialogue, open it up to more people.
And we wanted to get into the backstory of what the wire means to you, since a lot of people don't really understand the concept of that. So could you just give us like a little bit of snippet of what it to you, or just like what's metaphorically, what it to you? If you
or what's some of the, you said for 40 years, so what's some of the memories you have since you've had that Spool?
Of my life, or using the wire?
Symbolizing your life, either one.
Yeah, we both have had, and we're so good together. I have so many different things. I'll tell you that I remember when I first had it. One of the earliest things I remember, and I didn't tell you this, another story, but not using the wire. But I wanted to be a sportscaster one day. I'm going to be a sportscaster. I'd be really good at it. So I went to UCLA for one class, and it was a broadcasting class, sports broadcasting class by a director. There was like 2,000 people there, and I took this class. I asked a question or two, and then at the end of it, he said, hey, come on up here a second. And I come up here. He goes, I think you'd be good at this. And it's like, just out of the blue. And I said, thanks. He goes, do you have a reel or anything? I said, no, I have to get, he goes, call this guy it was Prime Ticket at the time. He goes, call this guy. So I did. And of course, at that time, I didn't have a lot of money. So he's like, just got to get a reel, it costs $3 or $4, everything. Get it, and you'll be fine. I didn't have that. So I made my own. So I remember using the wire because I built my own set behind me, and it was called New York Sports. I built my own counter and chair and borrowed a video camera, and I created, this is one of the first things I did with the wire. I was living in Van Nuys, and I created my own reel, so to speak. It was pretty good. And because I take it in, and one of the guys looked at it from Ticket, and he goes, you know, he goes, I know you did it yourself. Pretty good. He goes, you're pretty like on the edge, but he liked it. So I went and did someone a little better part of it, an extra additional part to it. And I got it all done. And I sent a friend who was working at a video company where they create not videos, but for TV film. And he erased it by mistake. I everything that I had. God rest his soul. He's no longer with us. He's a great golf partner. But by mistake, he called me and he said, was there anything on tape? I said, everything's on that tape. He goes, oh, man. So,
wow.
But as I do listen, and I do, it was just a message that wasn't the path. And of course, I was able to take through the years, a much more successful path. But I would.
And I feel like everything happens. I feel like everything happens for a reason. I know when opportunities arise and you to take advantage of those opportunities, some that will show their face, but then they fade away just as quickly. And you know what? That for me, absolutely. So, sound like you said you've made out pretty, had a very happy, successful life, and and you still have a lot more to go. So there's still some wire on that spool.
I still have some left, which is another part of it is you have an opportunity to look we have an opportunity to look forward. And here's what we are. We're very spiritual. We're not religious. Call it God's plan. Like God has a plan. We try to have a plan, and hopefully when they intersect, He's going to let us know when we're supposed to move in a certain direction. What we really focus on, Cindy and I, is the present moment. A couple years ago, I had run across something that said the only way you can connect with the Creator is in the present moment. You can't in the past. Future hasn't happened. So the only way to connect is in the present moment. So when we meditate or we're quiet, many times we say this is a beautiful present called BPM, because when you're present, as we are right now, we're truly connected to everything that's happening. When we're in our heads about what hopefully will happen in the future, or we're upset or whatever about something that happened in the past, we're out of the present moment. So that's what we do, is we try to stay as present as possible. And the more present we are, I think the more connected we are and the more grateful we are. Wouldn't you say that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you talk about connection, yes. And when you talk about connection, and you guys said in the beginning, definitely feel that between you two as well. And a lot of videos that you post about communicating as a couple. And one of the hardest things about communication is reflecting. Cindy, I think you did brilliantly with your videos, with reflecting, like, okay, maybe I didn't answer that the best way. It takes a lot of strength, because some people would just brush it off and say, oh, I said what I said, and that's it. That back, and you said, maybe I could address this a different way. And again, with people not knowing all the as well, they don't truly understand. But reflecting when you probably could have answered something differently, it shows strength on your part.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I looking at the comments and wants an apology. That's the big deal. When is she going to apologize? I'm like, I don't owe anyone an apology except him if asked for it, and he didn't. And we have such great communication between the two of us. We know we would never intentionally hurt each other. He tells me to shut the F time, and I tell him to go F off, and we joke. And most people couldn't have that narrative in their taking offense to it or letting egos get involved. So anything that I said after that, I meant. It wasn't meant to be an apology. It was just meant to enlighten people as to, how we interact normally. And I think out there that will never and that don't want to understand it. And that's fine. How you feel about me is not anything I have anything to do with. How I feel about myself and how I stand is the most important thing. So the dogs have just been let in. So here we go.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm sure you've seen love our dogs, and they're on our social, but it was difficult at times. They're like, what do I do from here? I don't need to make people like me. I wanted people to understand what a great relationship we have. And I think that was the hardest part, is having people say, divorce her and free Dan, and he, not worthy of him, and he deserves better. And everyone has their own opinion, and that's fine. But I wanted to just come back with integrity, honesty, and that was the most important thing for us, to keep doing what we do. And that was also advice that we got from a few of our, people in our village, and let's just keep doing what you do. Have fun, let it organically play out, because you can't change what people think. You can't direct that narrative at all. So us, and here we are.
Because they don't live with you guys every day. So
That's right.
Yes.
No, they have no clue. And the do know is, God, I cannot believe they're doing this, because we know you. We know how much fun you have. You have a lot of fun. It's our golden rule. We trust that she would never do anything to intentionally hurt me, and I would never do anything to intentionally hurt her. It is a golden rule for us. So if something is misunderstood in a lot of relationships, people jump on stuff like that. You know what you just said to me? And kindling for a fight. And I don't know if I've had anything that hurt me. I don't think we've ever had that. And the reason why we wrote a book is because we both have experience in relationships and
That
don't work. And when we each other and connect, wow, this is that feeling that to have in the beginning, right? A lot of us connect with someone and like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, and this is it. And it's called the honeymoon phase. Like people, it's just beautiful thing. It's prettier. The weather's better. It rains. It's amazing because you're with this man.
That's what every romance movie is about.
That's right. And then they decide to commit, and they have the wedding and all that. And then they go on a honeymoon, and then they come back to work. All the things that they did for each other leading up. Like, I want this girl to spend the rest of her life with me. I'm going to bring her flowers on Thursdays. I'm going to take her to lunch. I'm going to open the doors for her. I'm going to do, it's just, I'm going to do this stuff because I want her to know that I'm her guy. And then you get married and get back to your real life again. And, 6 months later, she's talking to her sister on the phone going, I haven't seen a flower since the day we tied the knot. He just walks ahead of me now in the restaurant. He doesn't open the door. All these little things that were really important. And it's almost because we organically were hunters and the hunt's over. We've already acquired what we want. So on the inside, we don't really think about continuing to do this because we think it's over. We're married. We committed to each other forever. We're going to be together forever. We're going to be great. But we're not feeding each other as we did when we were leading up to making a commitment. So for us, we were this nirvana constantly. And we realized, you know what, this is special that we have. People need to know about this. And so we started living the life of, in our book, we suggest people write a list of the 10 most important things that your partner does for you and the 10 things that you love about your partner, and then review them every week or every month, whatever it takes, so you can stay connected to that feeling you had when you led up to that commitment. So you don't forget to bring her flowers on a Thursday because that's important to her. And she'll tell me, God, baby, I really I love cooking. Just don't want to be left. So many women that cook the whole meal and then clean the whole meal. And he eats, oh, that was good. And now he's got the remote sitting on the couch while she's cleaning up, right? And so, for us.
Not in this house.
No, this is, through our experiences, I want you in there. I go in their kitchen. I do all the cleanup. She tries to help all the time. I try to kick her out. But
we cook together too. But
that's one of the that's important to us in supporting her. I think even more important to me that I support her because she makes these beautiful meals. But man, I'll tell you what, you watch Thanksgiving and stuff. Man, my mother, we had 8 kids all day cooking, right? Dinner's over, boys head out to play pool, and mom's in there cleaning up the kitchen. So it's just it works. Other things, but we have we review them and we have them on video. We videotape them. So in our book, we talk about get connected again to all the reasons why you fell in love with this person. You want to spend the rest of your life with them, and it's worked really, really well for us. Like really, really well. I think we each love doing it.
We do, but I think there's also an evolution. You've been together maybe for 3 or 4 years. Your list changes and it evolves into, I don't really need flowers every Thursday, but I would still like to go to lunch on Saturday. And then, you can stay aligned with each other. And that's just so often people aren't aligned after a certain amount of time and then they give up. And this is why, what's the percentage? Divorce, 64%?
54% all marriages end in divorce in 8 years.
Oh, we know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's sad.
We
It makes
have
us
had a lot of that divorce.
Yeah, we both have been through it, And when we got together, it was very important that we were transparent because if this is not supposed to be, then we need to walk away. I'm not willing to do this again unless I can be me and you can be you, and it works. And so I think the conversations. We literally check in every day. We check each other every day.
Oh, I know.
Like, how's it going up here? Like, are we good? It's so important to die.
You got to stay. We're going to grow. Everybody's said the evolution. We're going to grow. But if we don't grow like this and we start growing like this, there's a big gap there. And all of a sudden it gets bigger and bigger. And it's not only in 8 years that people get divorced, but there are people that hate that person, like hate that person that they said, I want this for the rest of my life, right? They hate them. And now the other question is, out of the 46% of people that stay married longer than 8 years, in your own heads, look at percentage of those people are truly happy.
Yeah, probably less than half of that.
You're right. We say 20% maybe.
That's what I'm
happy. 20%. Yeah. And so now we're dealing with a very dysfunctional system, and the numbers are international as well as national. They're the same. 60. So go ahead.
No, sorry. I first thing mentioned the name of the book. So even in the other videos, I didn't see the name of the book. So if you wouldn't mind, just what is the name of the book?
Finding Your Chairs.
Finding Your Chairs.
Finding Your Chairs. Okay.
And having conversations.
So good. So we'll be sure to mention that, post a link. Well, one thing we're talking about right now is the purpose of being intentional in relationships. That you have to be intentional to check in, be intentional to ask those questions and say, hey, you didn't like, having flowers, or to get you flowers every Thursday. What is it now that you want? And being intentional. Okay, like you said, the hunter. Okay, telling yourself in your head, okay, let me open this door as we're going to, or let me pick up her plate and put it in the sink, in the dishwasher. All those things are that you have to think about doing. They just don't happen randomly or organically when once you've achieved success, you grabbed what you wanted so bad. And I really think that's what you are being intentional. And then I want to be respectful of your time, so I don't want to go too long. But I would hope that we can close with talked about the list of 10 things. And if you wouldn't mind, could you share 5 for each of you? If Dan, you wouldn't mind sharing 5 things, and Cindy, if you wouldn't mind sharing 5 things.
Well, we have 2 lists. One is what I love about you, and one is what I need from you. And those change constantly. What I love about Dan is his generosity. He's generous. Aside from obviously the handsomeness of him, he touches me. He's just the most loving guy ever. And from Jersey, he has a little roughness to him, which I love. He's a Jersey boy. So that's the endearing part.
Always important to me, Cindy, both lists is being creative. Excuse me. We go from project to project, larger. We decided we wanted to create together. So we had an agreement with each other that we are going to continue to look to be creative. The book was a project that was 2 years in the making. And I remember the sitting in the jacuzzi, the cocktail, and it was done. And she looked at me and said, "What's next?" And I said, "I don't know what." And she came up with, let's have it to the house for and have them go through a whole process to see if they can reconnect. And we wrote a pilot, and then we produced it, shot it, and now having people out there with showrunner attached. That part of creativity for us is how creative she is, and I love that she wants to create with me, and that's on both of my lists that we just literally just talked about the other day. One of the things I love is that one rule that she said in the beginning was, "You be you, you be you." Give me your full. I am guilty of it in the past. We sometimes put on a good face and a good presentation for this person that we're interested in. And then, later we're either we're hiding and, figure out what we want to do, playing kind of weird games like, I'm going to work today and I'm at a golf course or whatever. She said, "You be you." And it gave me a lot of freedom to, okay, and you're going to get my best shot and she my best shot. And
well, it gives me the opportunity to know what I'm getting. Do I want it or not? Like, I want you to be you so that I know what I'm getting. And then I can make an educated decision on whether we'll be together or not. And I don't think people do that. People don't do that. So
no, you know what? Not to get too far away, but one of the things is we're taught as children, certainly in my generation, success is a marital relationship and children. That's success. And you know what? It's sort of hogwash because it really isn't success. Success is knowing yourself and living a full life and doing the things that you want to do. it does not necessarily have to include being married to someone. It could be a partner, it could be a friend. It doesn't, but we're forced into, we want our mom and dad and everybody to think, oh, look, see, they can get someone, they got a relationship. Obviously 54% of those people should have never gotten married, should have never made that commitment. So we get caught in that growing up that, getting married is where it's at. It isn't. Having a really good relationship is where it's at. The marriage part, is just is the formality, but a really good relationship, that's what it's all about.
And when you talk about that, the one thing that comes in my mind is how to introduce this to the early 20s when they're looking for love, looking for that attachment. Because yes, marriage is one thing, but then having an attachment with somebody, knowing that you're loved unconditionally, is what we all, as human beings, we yearn for that. And as young adults do, they rush into the world that feels like it's going to work, to make this work because I care that much. And then, I think that's which leads to a lot of the divorces.
Something the other day, and it made so much sense to me. It said women always expect their men to change, and they don't, and men expect their women to change, and they do. Think about that.
I get it. I do. Absolutely.
Think about that. That's impactful, because that is really what happens. Women go, oh, I can live with that. It's a red. I can live with that. He'll change over time. I'll get him to change. And he doesn't change. And same thing with men. We women, we do change. We evolve men in everything we do. And I don't mean that in a weird way. We're always looking, to grow and better. And so the natural evolution to it. So women look for men to change, and they don't. Men look for women to change, and they do.
And I think that's a great way to
altar.
I think that's a great way to end this conversation here. And it's been a great one. And I would love to talk to you guys again in the future. And I'm looking forward to seeing the other projects that you both come up with together.
Absolutely. We live on a golf, so you're welcome anytime. And we have out here about off days a year. So in Ohio, it's a little bit different. We're back in DC.
Yeah. And before we go, Cindy and Dan, will you coming on here? But what is one piece of advice, Cindy? We get a lot from guys. They're going through a lot of mental issues, mental health, suicide, ADHD. What is one piece of advice you to men around the world from a woman's perspective?
Oh my gosh!
You always get it for men, but
I think it goes back to. I think that you should have emailed me this days ago. The first thing that comes to mind is the UBU thing. That I've encouraged Dan since the day we met. Just you need to be. If you want to smoke a cigar, and I don't like smoking, smoke a cigar if that's who you are, and then I can make that choice as to whether I want to be a part of it or not. I think it's so important for all of us to be who we are at the cellular level. Who we are, where is our heart, where is our head, and it's to change. And in the book, we actually talk about a couple that we spoke with that they check in with each other every morning. And how's the weather up there? Meaning, how are you feeling? Are you cloudy? Are you sunny? How can I love you today? And that all comes from, you be you, no matter what you have to any, given day. If you don't have 100% to give, talk about it. And you can give me 50% and I'll make up rest. But I think that everyone just needs to be themselves as much as possible. UBU has been a game changer for us, a game changer. And all men out there, as rough as it may be, as nasty as it may be, just be yourself. And the person that you're supposed to be with will come along. It's just so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a good way to close.
All right.
Yeah, thanks. We so much appreciate being with you guys today.